Hello, my name is Taylor Bowen, and today I'm going to be talking about how the Pantone Color Institute uses Ethos, Pathos, and Logos in their charity water campaign. So many people know Pantone as the company that puts out the color of the year every year. This is the artist, the designer, this is our Super Bowl. This year, the color of the year was very pearl, and it was a beautiful purple. Now, a lot of other people might know Pantone as the company that has been going viral on TikTok, on Instagram, all the social media these days for their color matching. Color matching has become very popular, especially during COVID when people didn't have a lot of other stuff to do. But Pantone has been taking things around the seasons and color matching. So this was from Halloween, all the candy you could get, seen with these beautiful donuts. And then now for the summer, they're color matching fruit. On World Water Day, which was March 22nd, Pantone took a very different approach to color matching on their Instagram. The idea was simple enough, emphasized the variety of color around the world by matching images to the Pantone color swatches. This really put an emphasis on the 771 million people worldwide that drink water that is the color of our living room walls. With an array of Pantone shades such as milky gray, mustard yellow, forest green, the hues in this campaign call out water insecurities that many are often not forced to visualize. This campaign again highlights the amount of people worldwide without access to clean drinking water. This campaign is so simple, yet very clever. The cleverness is owed to a persuasive technique that dates back to Aristotle: ethos, pathos, and logos. Now, this mass communication theory, again, it's based off of Aristotle's rhetoric of ethos, pathos, and logos, is a perfect example of a communication theory that has lasted the test of time. This persuasiveness of presentations, public speaking, of written word, it is something that compels the audience or reader to take action. So ethos, this is all about the credibility behind what you're saying, the credibility behind who's saying it. Pathos is everything to do with emotion, getting that emotion from the reader, from the audience. It's imploring them to take action. And logos, that's the logic behind it. It's how can you back up what you're saying? So we're going to be looking at this campaign through the lens of ethos, through firsthand experiences in Pantone's brand recognition. Pathos, we're going to be seeing vivid use of language, metaphors, stories, real-life examples. And logos, we are going to be seeing an excellent example of transparency and data. Although these colors can be rather striking on a painted tile, they tell a far more horrific story when poured into a glass. Now, it's not abnormal to be scrolling on social media and stumble across a post that makes us stop in our tracks and admire a color. This could be something from Pantone, or it could be a friend's bouquet of flowers that they got. Charity Water's Color of Dirty Water campaign hits very differently. This is a color that's going to make you stop in your tracks because it's beautiful. But then you realize the little boy who has to drink this water. As you can see, the engagement in this post alone proves that it was pulling at the heartstrings of the audience. It's imploring them to stop, click on the link, and when they do, they're going to be greeted with an activity where it asks you to pick your favorite color. Once you pick your favorite color, it is going to show you drinking water of that color. I felt very guilty picking my favorite pale mustardy yellow-orange and finding out that there is a woman who lives her everyday life having to walk miles to find this quote-unquote clean drinking water, and yet it is the color, it's of my favorite color. No one should ever have to drink water that is a mustardy yellow. Again, so they're pulling at the emotions of the audience through personal stories, vivid storytelling, vivid imagery, and this was a perfect example of pathos, one of the best examples I've seen in a while. Next, we're going to be looking at ethos, which again, that is the credibility. So we look at Pantone. Pantone is a household name. Scott Harrison, the creator of Charity Water, is not. This is where they heavily relied on Pantone's brand recognition, and they relied on their already known reputation of being an ambassador of goodwill. Scott Harrison has, I believe, on Instagram a following of just under 500,000, which may seem like a lot, but it is a drop in the bucket when you look at Pantone having over 3 million followers. This could be one area where it could have done a little bit of improvement, or you could see weakness there. However, the general public, the population, they thought that this was perfect. You can see with comments where they talked about what an ingenious partnership it was. They loved the collaboration. They thought it was incredible. So clearly everyone was okay because Pantone, a household name, was getting behind this charity that, even though it isn't a new charity, they've been doing great work, but the charity is not the household name. So it's a great way to show that Ethos, as long as you have some sort of credibility and you can back it up, being a household name is a perfect example of Ethos. Now, logos. This campaign's use of logos, it's a perfect example. Right on the front page of their website, we are greeted with data like 91,414 water projects funded. Over 14 million people have been served in 29 different countries. What's great about this data is the level of transparency is unmatched of anything I've seen as of recently. If you were to click on any of these numbers, images, question marks, it takes you to a page where it in detail tells you the 29 countries or the 91,414 water projects funded. This is what makes people fully believe in an organization with their whole being. This is what gets people to stop scrolling on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, and engage with the campaign. But more importantly, this is what gets donations. On their About page, they boast that they have a level of transparency that is in their core values that's been unmatched, and that with each of the projects, they have photos and GPS coordinates to back it up. So again, if you were to click on any of these, you'll be taken to photos, GPS coordinates, to personal stories from those projects. This is one of the best examples of logos that I have seen. Now, mass communications is deeply rooted in social and behavioral sciences. So this is why using pathos, ethos, and logos is just as productive, just as successful as it was in Aristotle's day as it is now, because the way that the human uses social and behavioral sciences in our everyday life and society has not changed. We all need to have those heartstrings tug in order to get us to feel empathy, in order to get us to care about a cause. We all have a little bit of skepticism, which is why we look for the credibility and we look for the data behind it. This is something that in 500 years, it is still going to be a main use in communication theory. Again, just to tie it all back together, this campaign was perfect because if you then went and clicked on any of that data, you could see Sin and her husband, how they feared they couldn't afford to grow their family without clean water. They spent 30% of their income on medical expenses to treat waterborne illnesses. Right there, personal story, vivid imagery with the colors of their water, with what Sin looks like in her child. You can see the location is Cambodia. You can click on it to see even further the location or the GPS coordinates. And it's just a perfect way that it's tying all of those things together with a neat little bow. Now, this campaign took TikTok by storm and sparked conversations about how these color swatches, they didn't need to come from what we think of as third world or developing countries. These color swatches can be found in our own backyards. It wasn't hard for me to create a fake color swatch for Flint, Michigan. I just Googled Flint, Michigan water crisis and found the actual drinking water that a family is being forced to use, added my own little GPS coordinates, and made up a pretty name for a pretty color of water. This doesn't mean that the campaign is inherently controversial, but it does mean how we look at the campaign can be controversial because we need to look at it through the lens of, yes, this is a global problem. This happens everywhere. But before we get riled up and start sending all the troops over to clean everyone else's water, we need to take a look inside ourselves, at least when it comes to the United States, at is there places in our own backyards? Is there places within our own 50 states that this could be happening? And with Charity Water, with the matching of the Pantone color swatches, absolutely this is happening in the United States. And this is what a lot of people on TikTok were talking about because it was such a striking visual campaign. They did perfect amounts of ethos, pathos, and logos, which got us all excited and jazzed about it. But again, at least for the Americans in the audience, we needed to look kind of within ourselves first. And I don't mean that in a we shouldn't be supporting this campaign at all. Both can be equally important and both can be equally accurate. Color is the ultimate communication tool. It doesn't simply convey important information. It has the power to create feelings and actions. This campaign is playing no favorites when it comes to who they're trying to influence. Although Charity Water is a UK-based charity, Pantone is highly respected and followed worldwide. They are the perfect brand for Charity Water to partner with, not only for their beautiful visuals, but also for their world-renowned brand recognition. Since this campaign is trying to influence anyone and everyone, they picked a perfect communication tool, ethos, pathos, and logos aside, color. Just like Lindsay says, color is so inherently important to who we are as humans. As long as Charity Water and Pantone's partnership, their data is truly as accurate as they claim, there's no legal or ethical issues with this. And what's even more important is they picked something that is universal to all of us. Yes, this was a UK-based charity, and honestly, the majority of their donations up until this point have been from the UK. But their partnership with Pantone made this a worldwide charity. It's making everyone talk about it, whether you're an artist or whether you're a mass communications aficionado. It is taking both communities by storm because they created a almost perfect campaign, and their use of color, it's a universal language. Everyone understands color. Everyone understands how important water is. The pairing couldn't have been better.